Hello. This is Barbara saying hello, getting ready to start my radio show, and glad to have you join me. I'm going to be on Let's Ask the Angels on Blog Talk Radio. For the first half, I will be sharing a topic, the upcoming weekly messages, and then taking listener calls. So I'm not going to be interacting too much on Facebook unless there's a real lull in action on the radio show. So this is so that you who are watching on Facebook can listen in, and perhaps you may want to join me on blogtalkradio.com. Let's Ask the Angels. You can follow me there and call in for readings. So I'll be doing readings for people who call in. And again, if it's slow on my radio show, I'll be going to Facebook and then answering your questions. So we're going to start in a minute. So thank you for joining me. And you can access the radio show through your internet, through your computer or your cell phone. So that's two of the ways. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm having technical difficulties again on my radio show. This is kind of getting boring, so just bear with me. I'm not hearing anything, so I'm going to call in again. If you are listening on the radio, just bear with me. Hello everyone, this is Barbara Calvano, and welcome to Let's Ask the Angels on Blog Talk Radio. It is my privilege and honor to be here today, both on Facebook Live and on the radio. We're crossing our fingers, asking the angels for the blessings. We stay connected with no technical problems on the radio show today. So again, I'm Barbara Calvano. I am an angel intuitive and a life coach. I've trained with Doreen Virtue, Radley Valentine, and Robert Reeves, and some other teachers. And also my experience as a life coach is with Landmark Education, a course and a curriculum that I highly recommend. You know, it's like we get the right brain handled with the spirituality, with the angels, and the left brain and humanity gets handled in the curriculum at Landmark. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. And also 12-step programs, which I'll talk a little bit about today. And so my commitment each week with this show called Let's Ask the Angels is to assist you with some information that could prompt you to take actions in areas of your life that maybe you haven't been. And that's living with grace and ease, because in this day and age, there's a lot of stress, obstacles, and things that can come up. And for most of us, I think our commitment, our goal, our intention is to be happy, to be empowered, to be unstoppable, to share love, and to experience joy. And in this day and age, it may seem like there's not a lot of light, goodness. That's if you're focused on watching the news a lot. And there are things happening. And this can snowball and repercussion and have like a domino effect into our personal lives if we're not careful. So my intention is to share the upcoming weekly guidance, which I receive. I am an intuitive, and that's quality most of us all have. It's something that you can just develop. One of the things I did in my life is I'm an artist. This is one of my paintings behind me. I'm an actor, and I'm going to say that as a creative, but we all have this quality. I've used my intuition all my life. And then it wasn't until the latter part of my life, not latter, in the past few years, that I started working with the angels. I've always worked directly with God, but I learned about angels through Doreen Virtue. And angels are there to help us. They are all loving beings of energy that help everyone, regardless of your background. So that's pretty great. And most of the time, we only call upon them, or we only call for help for anything in our lives, is when we hit bottom. The angels just said, when we really are up against it. But what I want to teach and I want to enlighten you with is that you can have this, it's almost like having this goodness wrapped around you, no matter what. Yes, you can actually experience joy, which I would call peacefulness, even when it seems like things are falling down, falling apart around you. And that would equate to an inner peace. That is totally possible. It's totally possible to be peaceful in the midst of hearing things that piss you off, upset you, to watch things happen that sadden you, horrify you. It's still possible to have a place of peace. Do you necessarily have to go sit on a mountaintop and meditate for that? No. In this day and age, I'm going to say the transmission of energy, the energy as we experience it, even here on Facebook, on this radio, through the media, it's transmitting very fast. So we can easily be affected, easily be thrown off our center, more than ever. And we can more easily be brought to center, to peace and ease, more than ever. So this week I was guided to use, and before I get to that, I want to share with you, why did I start this radio show? Why did I start working with the angels per se publicly? Mostly because of stress. I am 63. I'm proud to say it because I'm very healthy. My husband's a chiropractor, and we're on no medications. Our life is not perfect, but I experience a lot of ease. And has it always been that way? No. And do we still have problems? Absolutely. Do we live in a world where there are things that are not going the way we would like them? Absolutely. But I've learned to listen to the guidance of my angels and take the left turn when I need to take a left turn, and take a right turn when I need to take a right turn. And then along that also, I am giving a talk. I seem to be going everywhere today, but that's okay. At the end of the month, October 29th, at the New Life Expo here in New York City, at the New Yorker Hotel. It's the Wyndham Hotel, 34th and 8th Avenue, right at the Manhattan Center. I will be giving a talk at the Skytop Lounge. It's kind of a workshop, 45 minutes, and that is part of your ticket into the expo. So all the talks there are free once you get into the expo. And it's a 3-day expo. I'm only speaking on Sunday. And my talk workshop will be co-creating an extraordinary life with God and the angels. And I'll be doing some exercises and some healing meditations to help you access that peace. And I'm going to say, as a group, our energy is going to create something really beautiful that day. Now, back to why I started working with the angels. About 5 years ago, I had a scare, a cancer scare. Cancer's everywhere right now, and I didn't expect this scare. And what the scare was, a mammogram that needed to be re-examined. And in that 2-week period that I had to wait for my second opinion, there could have been a lot of terror. There could have been a lot of upset, a lot of fear, a lot of creating more drama in and around what if. And I'm going to say I've not always been good with things that don't go well. I'm a triple Pisces, and what does that mean? Not much for those of you who aren't into astrology, but super, super, super sensitive. But I did the clearings that I learned from the angel therapy from Doreen Virtue. And they really worked well. I was able to clear the stress in my body. I was able to clear the negative thoughts in a couple of seconds on my way to yoga. I kept doing the things that I would normally do. And so when I went to that appointment for my second opinion about having cancer or not, I saw in the reception area all the other women that were waiting. And you could feel the terror and the experience of fear and sadness and anger, literally like painting the walls. And I sat there, and we're all dressed in these beautiful white robes, and what I saw that I had to my own availability was something that allowed me to be peaceful without having to do fancy mantras, fancy yoga poses, which I love, but very simply a way to connect with our angels to clear that energy out of my body. Because you and I know the very first thing that causes illness for real is stress. And when you find out that you might have something that's horrible, the last thing you need to do is add more stress to your life. So I made a promise that if I indeed was clear of this possible cancer, I really owed it to share to the world. I really owed it to just share it. Is everybody open to hear messages about angels? Absolutely not. You know? We have a tainted image about it only being with Christianity, and Christianity has gotten a bad rap over the past few hundred years. And I'm not talking about, this is not about pointing fingers about religions or spiritual programs. It's about saying that there's an exquisite, wonderful, powerful energy available for all of us if we just are open. And that's one of the things that I've learned. Can we be open to something that's new, something that's different, something that may bring up emotions? Can we do that? And so working with the angels has allowed me to do that continually for myself, clear the energies for myself, for my loved ones, for my pets, and then also teach that to others, and then help my clients with that. And what happens when you have less stress? And stress could be just being angry, being sad. And these are emotions that we want to embrace. It's not about covering it up and pretending it's not there. It's about removing the tension that we have as a reaction to certain feelings. So we could be really happy and then have a negative reaction in our body because we have this story about when good things happen, the shoe will drop. So this is about eliminating the stress in your body. And as someone who's practiced a lot of dance and a lot of yoga, I'm very much in touch with that. When I feel less tension in my body, the brain can send the messages to the rest of my body more fluidly, and I'm not walking around making a lot of crazy stories up, because where does all our thoughts come from? Our brain. So that is why I started the show, to teach about living with grace and ease in this day and age. And you can find out all about my services and everything at my website, which is bcalvanocoaching.com. Now, this week I was guided to share the topic, which is, stand in your power. Embrace divine love. Standing in your power. And I'm going to go ahead right into the reading for the week. When I first met Doreen Virtue in person, I really... at this age, I don't stand very often in long lines for book signings, but I was prompted to do that. I said, I want to stand in this line for 45 minutes to get my book signed by Doreen. And she was in New York City at a Hay House event. So I did that. And I already felt that I was learning a lot from her books. I really didn't need to meet her in person. But let me tell you something. When I stood next to her, as I have with other meditation teachers of a very high caliber, or course leaders that have really worked on themselves, there's an energy there. And that energy is of confidence, not of false ego confidence, because you can be around people like that too. And you know, when you hear what comes out of their mouth, you know if it's false confidence or true confidence. If you start hearing gossip coming out of their mouth, You get the message. I better be careful. Keep moving around the phone. So when I stood next to her for her to sign my book with Radley and her husband Michael, I experienced this exquisite confidence. And one of the messages that I received was, stand in my power. Stand in my power. Now, I thought I'd been doing that, but it is another thing if you know, are you participating in your life 100%? 100%. Now, you may feel tired or you may be healing from an illness, and you can still participate 100% at that level of your energy level for that day. But what we're looking at is your confidence, which I'm going to go ahead, stand in your power, embrace divine love. I'm going to take it into the cards that I was guided to choose this week. And I was guided to use a deck brand new for me, the Dragon Oracle cards. Dragons. Now, a lot of people may be just as, hesitant about connecting with angels as they would be dragons, but know that the dragons exist. And if they bother you, the word dragons, use the word angels. The dragons exist. I'm not going to necessarily say that you're going to see them, but they exist in our planetary environment to sweep away, burn away, wash away lower energies. Now, we have a lot of that right now. Now, it's also this negative things happening on the planet are a backfire, a reaction to all the goodness that's happening. There's a tremendous amount of heart opening. Many of us have been working on this for 30, 40 years. We've been doing our practices. We've been working on ourselves. We've been healing ourselves. And I know actually hundreds, maybe hundreds, if close to 1,000 of my own personal friends who have been parts of communities that have really healed a lot in their own personal life, in their personal families, which is energy. And that energy has been moving into communities and into the world. So there's a tremendous amount of good happening, and at the same time, there's a kind of like this reaction of the opposite. Is one good or bad? We don't really need to judge it. There's just energy moving. So the dragons are here to assist us. And this week, if you're not a believer of dragon energy, doesn't matter. Just know that there is a tremendous amount of good forces assisting us right now to help us dispel and let go of what no longer serves us. The past 5 years on my radio show, that's all I ever talk about. What is it that you need to let go of? So the very first card I have is this beautiful card. And these are by Diane Cooper. Or the Royal Blue and Gold Dragon. This presence, this energy is here to strengthen you, to stand in your power with wisdom. Awaken to your own majesty. Wear your cloak of power with pride. If we were to really get in touch with our self, our majesty. I mean, the word majesty, it's used a lot in Britain, in the British language, and Diana Cooper is British. If we got in touch with our majesty, what would that look like? That we walked with our majesty into our families, into our work. So it's telling us that we have a lot of power. Are we saying yes to it? Or are we allowing ourselves to be sucked in to the negativity, to what's going on in the world, and fear is basically, are we allowing ourselves being pulled into fear? If we are experiencing fear, loneliness, let's call the lower energies, they're not bad, but just notice if you are dwelling in it. Are you addicted to it? Are you really suffering because you feel stuck in those emotions? You can ask your angels and hear this dragon to help you to clear it away. And you can also take a look at, have you been knowing that you're not standing in your full power in terms of you want that job? Are you doing everything you possibly can? Are you just meditating and chanting? Or are you calling that person you know who might be able to help you? That second person, that third person. Are you emailing anyone and everyone to help you? Are you asking for help? Are you going after your dreams as if it is the most important thing in your life and that nobody else can do it? Nobody else. You know, the angels are not these fluffy winged creatures or the dragon just sitting here waiting to just give us all the answers and the lotto numbers. They're actually here to assist us as we move through life. As you go to your yoga class, you know, I'm at my age this year, I'm not seemingly able to go to as many classes. So I go when I can and I do my best. I rest, recover, and I go again. Is it easy? No. Do I enjoy it? Yes. So this is not about grace and easy. This is about grace and ease as you go up against those things that just drive you crazy. If you are finding yourself really sullen and upset about the politics in the United States, don't watch it. It is that simple. Don't watch the news. I have to monitor how much MSNBC I watch. If what you are doing is making you feel bad, stop it. That is part of strengthening you to stand in your power with wisdom. Awaken to your own majesty. Wear your cloak of power and pride. So it's time to get back our pride. The next card, and I'll talk about, I just thought I'm going to hold it right now, is this beautiful card. So with the first card, the angels and the dragons are saying you have a majestic sense to yourself. If you are stuck in depression, sadness, and struggle, get help. It's as simple as making that phone call, taking that course, taking that workshop, doing something out of the ordinary, most likely doing something very, very scary and uncomfortable. This is not about magic wand, everything in your life works out. This is about learning how to be a spiritual warrior. Like, no kidding. We are going to need this more than ever in the next few weeks and months. Standing in your power. So we got the first card saying you have this available. You have this majestic connection to your own power. Are you using it? Are you using it? All you have to do is say yes to it. And surround yourself with people who are also standing in their power. Do yourself a favor and cut the cords and move on from people who are whining and complaining. We are looking for the people who already know that they're leaders to step up. What will happen is these others will watch you and witness. Some will try to tear you down or be negative with you. That's part of the way human beings are. And it doesn't matter. So the next card here, the present, is Dark Blue Galactic Dragon. Helps you listen to the voice of the universe. The voice of the universe is that voice you hear inside of you that says, I need to just get off my bottom and get into action. I've been procrastinating. I've been putting off. I'm pretending that I'm not majestic, which is the very first card. I'm pretending I don't have talents. I'm pretending I don't have the right abilities. I'm pretending I'm someone who doesn't deserve to be married or be in a relationship. And when I say pretend, because when we have that thought that says we can't, it's a lie. It's the ego. It's the fear saying you do not deserve. Who do you think you are? You're overweight. Do you think someone's going to like you? Yeah, I used to be so obsessed with my weight as a dancer. Probably weighed myself 6 times a day. I do not own a scale right now. That was one of the best things I ever did. But it's like one day when I'm perfect. One day when I'm perfect. I mean, I got my first national commercial when I was heaviest than I've ever been in my life. And that's all I can say. For someone like me who had this issue with their body, and it's still there, I just don't let myself get hooked by it anymore. But so the second card says, helps you listen to the voice of the universe. So we're getting help right now. It's really a matter of saying, am I moving along well? Or is your thought saying, life is not going to be good until this guy's out of the presidency, or life is not going to be good. Life is really not going to work until this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens. And I'm telling you, that will never happen. And what I mean is that waiting for everything to settle down and be perfect in a certain way, you may as well just, that's such a joke. Waiting for a better day, waiting for a better time. Now, this excludes those of you who are healing from a grave illness, whose energy is maybe very small right now. And that's fine. You need to take care of yourself, and you need to understand that that's a process for you. But there are many very well-abled people that are contributing to the angst and upset in the world and in this country by getting hooked. Do not allow yourself to get hooked by the news. Allow yourself to get hooked by your majesty, your power, your ability to make a difference, no matter how small, whether you have 50 cents to donate to the hurricanes or the earthquakes or anything. You know, I was going through bankruptcy with my husband when we raised and organized a fundraiser to raise $150,000 for a high school in Brooklyn for their computer library. If I had gone with my thoughts that said, if they only knew how bad your finances were right now, and what you went through, and you know, blah, 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 who would want to contribute? I didn't even go there. And it's something I learned how to do. It's not natural to feel empowered, unstoppable, wanting to be bold and courageous when you see catastrophe happen over and over again. And if you haven't noticed, there seems to be more happening. So if you have something to contribute and share, the dragon energy this week is saying they're going to burn away, just help you just clear that energy so that you just move forward. So here it says, ignite the codes of your master blueprint, access power, your cosmic wisdom, and enter higher service. Enter higher service. What does that call to you when you hear that? Enter higher service right now, today, despite everything that's going on in the world. When we let ourselves be spoken to our majestic side, by God, by the angels, by the universe, we're going to hear things like, you have everything you need right now. You have everything you need right now to fulfill on your purpose, to fulfill on your intentions. And if you don't, you know who to call, you know what to do. It's only a matter of 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other. And the next card, which is going to be the near future, is the Lilac Fire Dragon. And here we are. And here it says, transmutes through the power of divine love. Divine love. Not easy to have if you are spouting off and repeating. I've done this too. My husband's had to say, I don't want to hear it. What did he do this time? What did number 45 do this time? You just got to stop it. Stop repeating what doesn't make any difference. And it's so easy to get hooked. It's so easy to repeat. Can you believe he threw the paper towels? I'm like, yeah, it was so easy to repeat that. I even made a video of my cat ripping up a paper towel roll. I was just so, and I got to catch myself. So it's not like you become enlightened and you never get hooked, you never get pulled. It's about catching yourself and then allowing yourself to be supported by someone who will take note. And if they don't have permission, give them permission. Give your partner, give your husband, your wife permission to say, hey, if you catch me gossiping and being negative about world politics, just tell me to knock it off. Really. And you can do that. If you find yourself complaining and you just saw this happen. I have a lot of friends that I've known for 40 years. I've been in New York City that long. Some of them I've had to really cut cords with. And not even cut cords, I had to move on. Because they were still stuck to who I was being back in 1977. And that was someone who, if I had an issue or problem, I just had to reach for a Heineken beer. And then follow that with some cognac. Be chilled out a little and then think I would ponder the world. Or go to a bar and just listen to other people complain. I mean, after I did all my work, but that was my habit. Those were my habits. And today, one of the things I teach is loving myself. And in loving myself, I had to learn to know that for me, alcohol was an allergy that only led me to depression. And not a lot. For me, a glass of wine gave me enough negativity to stay negative until I had the next glass of wine. Or pondering, when is it time to have another beer? And I only say that because there are some things that we have in our society, overeating, over drinking, over exercising, even overworking, or over concern about what we look like. Any of these addictions are taking us off our majestic self. The majestic self doesn't need anything. The majestic self is not addicted to changing anything. It means, yes, can we be the light and peaceful calm with everything going wrong around us? We have that ability, but we have to call that up. We have to bring that up and be bold enough to surround yourself with people like that. I don't have a lot of friends right now who complain. Getting back to that, I just don't. I got rid of them. If they want to call and just complain, I just, there was a time I'd be on the phone with one of my artist friends and they're complaining about, I'm doing all this art, but I can't sell it, and but I feel so good at the end of the day when I just have my whiskey and whatnot. And I'm just saying, this is part of how I lived my life a lot. And then one day I realized, what a waste of time. And what's true about that? I know plenty of people who sell their paintings. And I know plenty of people who don't. I know plenty of people who got married and found wonderful partners. And I know plenty of people who don't. I know plenty of people who have issues with their weight and their overeating and their addiction to substances. And I know people who've overcome it. Is it easy? No. Absolutely not. Here this card says, open up to a transcendent love and enlightenment. Purity of heart brings peace, hope, and joy. Open up to transcendent love and enlightenment. Purity of heart brings peace, hope, and joy. I mean, can you imagine if you and I listened to that, or listened to a talk on this every day when the news was going to come on? Opening up to transcendent love and enlightenment. Purity of heart, bringing peace, hope, and joy. It's an option. One of the things I learned along the way is that there are always choices. And it's going to take us to be rigorous to make choices that we want to stay with our heart. And with this lilac fire dragon's energy around us, and even that beautiful color, it's transmuting through the power of divine love. Divine love is everywhere. It is everywhere. You walk out into nature. You take the time to do that this weekend. And it's quiet and it's peaceful, or you get up early enough to watch the beautiful sunrise, or you have the opportunity to watch a sunset. In that moment, there is nothing else. And in that one moment, there is nothing else. There's just purity of heart, bringing peace, hope, and joy. It's going to take us to want that more than anything in the world. Just like when you've done something, whether it's worked a really hard exercise program, or worked through a budget to get back your finances, or worked through getting a certificate or graduating from college or something, it's going to take something. And I think because of the internet, where we expect everything so fast, we also expect our heart, that purity and all that love, to wash over us fast. And instantaneously it can. But what we're asking, and the dragon energy this week is asking for us to, what do you need to be honest about, so that it can be burned away, it can be washed away, it can be purified. And those of us who are willing to do that self-examination are the ones who are going to be able to help light the way. We can be the one who walks into the post office or the restaurant or the yoga class or in the subway car that's actually peaceful, even though things may not be perfect in our personal life, but we can hold a sense of peace. We can hold a space. Literally, we are walking around as a space. We take that space, our space, wherever we go. And if we are terrified, our minds are just racing, and we're like feeding our body a lot of stuff that doesn't help our brain, and you and I know what that is. If what we're putting into our body makes us feel bad, we can actually have a choice to stop that. So it's the dragons. You can call upon the dragons personally or the angels to assist in taking away those habits. You know, we can have an addiction to something. And my addiction before was alcohol. I didn't really think of it as an addiction because I didn't drink it every day. But what I didn't know was the program in my life that I was living was a program, and I say program like a computer. What is this program? The program that I was living was one of reaction, one of almost waiting for someone to hurt my feelings, being overly sensitive and not able to speak up, holding on to grudges. My program was not being able to let go of the past, of things that I was ashamed of or things that I did that saddened me. Not being able to let go of the past, not being able to forgive myself. That was my unconscious program. And so when things got difficult, boy, did those 1, 2, 3, 4 beers make me feel better. So it really wasn't about just walking around and needed some alcohol. No, it was like some unconscious program was, I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. I'm not pretty enough. There's no one who will love me. I mean, just normal human being things, but then bring on being overly sensitive and bring on trauma that may have happened in my childhood that I don't want to talk about, I don't want to share with, because I don't want people to think I'm weird. All of that was an unconscious program. And then when I started working a conscious program, which I did with AA, this 12-step program, 27 years ago, I learned what it was to be responsible for how I was living, managing my fear. And I share this because this program of living by telling the truth about something you're doing that doesn't work for you anymore, allowing yourself to say, there is something bigger than myself, so I don't have to take on all the worries of the world. I can connect to that majesty of this universe, whether it's God, higher power, whoever you connect with, to something other than me that's creating this beauty. And I can share and I can be among other human beings with my frailties, with things that are my imperfections, and I can be comfortable in my own skin despite anything and everything that's ever happened to me. I'm just giving you a very simple thing about having a conscious way of living versus unconscious. And Russell Brand right now has a book called Recovery, which he's speaking a lot about. I had the opportunity to work with him on a film called Arthur a few years ago. But I'm sharing this because a lot of our addictions are getting kicked in right now. And one of the main addictions is the addiction to feeling scared. The addiction to feeling upset. The addiction to feeling upset. The addiction to feeling disempowered. The addiction to feeling hopeless. These are all addictions. The addiction to drama is real. It's real. When that was pointed out to me, I was blown away. Do you mean I could live my life without drama? Yeah, it's going to happen all around us. But do we have to be stuck to it? Do we have to be glued and pulled in? And the answer is no. There's a choice to live a drama-free life. So one of the things I do is I work with the angels. I teach people to have them near you so that you can ask them, please take away this obsession, take away this procrastination, and it helps. I've always been connected to the psychic world. It's just part of who I am. And you can do this with a friend or a coach by telephone, or you can do it with your mind's eye and your heart. That's how you talk to these beautiful beings. It's not just that you have to do formal prayers and special incense and special gongs and all that. No, you can just talk to them just like I'm talking to you. Please take my fear. And if you really want to take it to the next level, you could actually speak directly to God. Just directly to God. God, please take away my frustration and my fear and my anger about what's going on in the world right now. Please help me to feel peace. Please direct me in what would be the best actions I could take today. Please help me with my fear of aging, of dying. Please help me with my fear of being unlovable for the rest of my life. Please help me find the partner that I so desperately want to have. Please help me with my addiction to needing to be perfect. Anything and everything. So again, this week we are being told that we can stand in our power by choosing to. Some people are afraid of the word power. Most of my friends are not afraid of the word. Power doesn't mean you're going to walk around being this macho, demanding, crazy person. It just means you're empowered with your voice, with your actions, and they are in alignment with your intentions. You're taking actions with what you say you're going to do. You follow through, and when you don't, you communicate. So our majesty, your sense of your majesty comes from you, and it comes from practicing it. And right now we have this help to help us awaken to our own majesty, wearing our cloak of power with pride. And even if you have felt lately scared, many of us have been, when we see one atrocity after another, take a look of how you can embrace the divine love which is everywhere and share that and be that right now. A lot of it will mean getting off of social media, unless you're going to share some goodness and some kitten and puppy videos. Really. It's really easy to get hooked in and start arguing. And I know people who yell at the TV. I might yell at the TV if my Ohio State Buckeyes are not winning. I don't watch them all the time, but you know what I mean. Take a look at what actions are you taking right now that are making you feel more angry and more upset. And what the angels and the dragons are here to do. The dragons are here is to help you erase that energy if you so desire. And the angels are to help you to receive the messages and the illuminated information that's going to help you move ahead, which not only helps you, but it helps everyone around you. The work and the life of a light worker is not easy. It's not for anyone. I could just not be here right now and eating potato chips, and just watching TV, or just have no intention of even being, I can't even get there. I can't even talk about that, because I am so connected that when I give myself doing this radio show on Facebook Live, I am helped so much, and my own intentions and commitments get so in touch with my own majesty and my own self-confidence that regardless of whether or not I get new followers or any new business that comes from this, I get something. And I'm asking each and every one of you, what is it that you want to do this week, today, that you can give to yourself that gives you this sense of peace that I'm telling you, you can have the most incredible night out. I mean, I've met movie stars in New York City. I've hung out with them, some famous rock stars. And at the end of the day, you just come back home. And you're with yourself. What is it that's going to give you lasting peace? And then the blueprint here, it says, ignite the codes of your master blueprint. Without getting into too much detail about Akashic records and all that stuff right now, just know that, and I know that you know this, deep in your own heart, there's a plan. There's an exquisite plan between you and your God. And if you don't think there's a plan, take on the possibility that there's an exquisite plan. And you're in it. And you've been going through stuff. And maybe in your eyes you think this wasn't supposed to happen and this wasn't supposed to happen and absolutely that wasn't supposed to happen. But what if this plan is so, let's go back to the word majestic. And even with what we see happening in the world right now, what if there is a plan, an exquisite plan? We could take on the idea that there isn't and get very negative, and I could be spewing a lot of negativity right now, and we could be sharing a lot of that. Or I could share the possibility of the most exquisite loving plan that we could conceive, and that there is a divine love, and that when we stand in our power and we embrace that divine love, is it taking on a possibility? Absolutely. I saw a thread recently about comparing our country to another country with this gun violence. And it was really about this person saying, well, in our country, once we got our gun laws changed, we didn't have these problems, and and your country, and it really was not a positive thread. I didn't feel great. I didn't post anything. And yes, we need changes. But we also need to know that by posturing ourselves and pointing fingers and saying, we did this and you did this, and who are you to do this? If I told my child, why we would never want to live in the United States because of all this is happening, instead of possibly saying to the child who was visiting from another country, this country, the United States, is going through a healing process, just like when you're sick. Sometimes it takes time. But once you get through it, don't you feel better? Don't you feel so much better? I personally feel, and I have other colleagues who understand this, that we are going through a healing crisis. And it possibly may get a little worse before it gets better. It's going to take a lot of us who can stand in our power, hold the space of peace so that we help others. The last thing we need to do is be carriers and sharers of gossip and more fear-mongering. And we each have a choice. The angels and even the dragons, the angels are saying to me right now, how good do you want to feel today? Even with things going wrong in your life, how good do you want to feel? And I remember when I first started going to 12-step meetings 27 years ago, and a therapist that I was seeing asked me how it was going, and I said, oh, it goes good. How often are you going to a meeting? Oh, once a month. And how do you feel when you go to that meeting? Oh, I feel great. And then she said to me, well, would you like to feel better? Would you like to feel that more often? And that hit me like a rock. It was like, you mean I could feel that good, that ease, that gracefulness more seconds, add more seconds and minutes and hours? I didn't even know that was a possibility, because how I was experiencing life in that unconscious program was mostly walking around in a state of tension, stress, reacting, angry, trying to put on a smile, trying to look good. It's exhausting. And at the end of the day, you just need one more beer or one more glass of wine or one more date, one more something to fill that empty hole. So this week's messages really are about us embracing our majesty, That majesty exists inside of us. Even if we feel sad and frustrated, it still exists there. And then we have the other dragon helping us connect to that voice of the universe, helping us hear what would be the best use of my time, what would be the best use of my life. And then the other one is talking about embracing divine love, opening up to transcendent love and enlightenment. To get this message today, even in the midst of, everything's going on, and I'm in the United States, so this is a lot about our reaction to our politicians, and then the catastrophes happening here, and then there's many happening in the world. Being able to transmute through the power of divine love, open up to transcendent love and enlightenment. Purity of heart brings peace, hope, and joy. We have a choice at any second to do things that is going to raise our blood pressure, raise our anxiety level, or we can make choice to do things that's going to bring more inner peace. And again, it's not always going to be easy. It's really a matter of choosing which way you're going to drive. Planning our lives around our exercise and our yoga classes and our shopping for fresh vegetables and fruits and good food, making the good food, eating it, teaching our children about it, teaching our spouses about it. It's about being the one, being the majestic one that we are meant to be. And how does this impact what's going on around the world? Again, you are the peaceful light. You are the beam of majestic light and energy walking through the earth. Those things that you've been procrastinating on, that you know is going to take courage, it's time to do that. It's absolutely time. And this is a week that you can do it. Again, you can take the time and say, I'm putting off writing that book, I'm putting off doing this thing, and I need to check the news. I got to see what else this guy did. What did he do this week? What did he say this today? I've been guilty of that. And it doesn't really make a difference in the world. There are other actions we can take. So right now I'm going to take this caller to see if they would like a reading. So you may not be able to hear them. You won't be able to hear them if you're on Facebook Live. But here we go. Area code 775. Thank you for calling in. Would you like a reading today? Okay, what is your name and how can we help you? SJ? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so is this a caller's calling about a concern about choosing the right class that she feels that she needs? Now, is this in a university or is this like adult education or something that's helping you with your career? What is this course? Okay. Now, is there a way you could take both or not? They both. Okay. Okay. So here's the thing that I learned about making choices, because I'm really not a fortune teller, so I can't tell you like the future of that. But what I'm seeing is that I'm gonna pull a card for you. But my basic sense is that which is the one that makes you feel better, and you already gave me a sense of that, right? There's one course. The second course seems to make you feel better, right? About the energy of the whole thing. Okay. Well, okay, so what I'm getting is that the second course probably sounds better for you. You know, sometimes we overcomplicate things. And then if this is about starting a business, you're going to have to know that this actual exercise that you're going through right now, in terms of choosing which one is better, is going to be an exercise that you're going to have to do over and over and over and over and over again. This is part of being in business. How good are you at making choices? And one of the things that stops people is that they think they have to make a good choice, the best choice, and sometimes the best choice is make a choice. Does that make sense? Just make a choice. You're going to learn something from either course. So one of the things we do as human beings is that we procrastinate because we think we have to wait for the right one and the right one. And what happens is that we waste time, we add more stress, we get in our heads, and we're overcomplicating it. So one of the things about being successful in working your business will be in how, I'm going to say effortless, but how are you at making decisions? How are you at making choices? And if you're constantly stopping and not, how do we say it, trusting yourself, then you're going to have a hard time being in business for yourself. Okay? So I would just make a choice and then be over with it and enjoy it. And then see what is the next choice that you have to make, and just make that. And so that you learn how to you learn how to choose from that word, from one of the cards, standing in your power, choosing from your majesty, choosing from your sense of your vision of what this business is going to look like, instead of which is right and which is wrong. Between you and me, I think you would learn a lot from either course. Either course. So it really is more about just choose. Okay? Because the card that I saw was expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecies and sleepless nights. I don't know if you've lost sleep over it with this card, but it says that you tend to worry a lot. And that you tend to have this, you possibly could be someone who might just be expecting the worst. What if I take this course and it's a waste of time or it's a waste of money? Instead of choose the one, and then you put forth the energy of getting all that you can from it. Okay? You're welcome. Thank you so much for calling in, SJ. Okey-doke. All right, so that is pretty much our show for the week. If you are listening today, if you are watching on Facebook and you would like a one-card reading or mini reading, I'd love to give you one. Just message me your question, and I like to do audio messages, so you can give me your email and I'll email you a short recording of your message answer. So thank you so much for watching today on Facebook Live. Please follow me at either page, this one or my B. Calvano page on Facebook, or even at my Blog Talk Radio page. I'd love to have you follow me there and participate in calling in so I can actually speak with you. And let me see if there's anything else. A reminder of the wonderful New York Expo, New Life Expo at the Wyndham New Yorker Hotel at 34th Street on 8th Avenue at the end of the month. And I'm going to be speaking on October 29th, the Sunday at 12 p.m., 12 noon, 45 minutes, a talk and a workshop. And it's on the Skytop Lounge, which is the 39th floor, so it's going to be way up in the sky. And we're going to be doing Co-Creating an Extraordinary Life with God and the Angels, talk and workshop. Love to have you there. All the information is going to be at my website. And again, your ticket into the expo avails you to all the speakers all day long at the expo, and it's one of the biggest ones here in New York City. I'm really, really excited. It's my first time being a speaker there, and I look forward to it. So again, if you'd like to have a short reading and today, just message me your question and I will get back to you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye.